Do you know who your child or sibling's idol is? If you ask a child who their idol is, a majority of the time you'll hear a Major League Baseball player's name. I've loved Major League Baseball since I can remember knowing what baseball was. But after the performance-enhancing drug scandal, it's hard for me to be okay with my son or a sibling having a Major League Baseball player as an idol. Major League Baseball players are idolized by kids around the world, and if they see them using performance-enhancing drugs, they feel like they'll be able to also. I've watched Major League Baseball for over 25 years and discussed performance-enhancing drugs with fellow baseball enthusiasts before baseball even knew performance-enhancing drugs was prevalent. Major League Baseball is America's national pastime, and they're trying to build their image after Congress helped uncover the performance-enhancing drug scandal. Baseball is America's most revered national pastime and enjoyed by children throughout the world. Baseball was created by Alexander Cartwright, who was a Manhattan bookseller that wanted to come up with a game for his kids to play whenever they were out of school or during the summer when school wasn't in session. About 30 years later, in 1876, Major League Baseball created the National League, which was the first professional sports league in baseball. Then following that, they created the American League in 1901, which comprised the Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball has been enjoyed around the world, and you can see that by children who participate in the Little League World Series. The Little League World Series is a worldwide baseball tournament that takes teams from Japan, Mexico, the United States, Canada, anywhere around the world that wants to participate. And a lot of times whenever you see these kids on TV, they'll put their stats on the screen and they'll have their favorite baseball player. A lot of these favorite baseball players have been people who have used performance-enhancing drugs. Many records have been broken during the history of Major League Baseball, but some of the longest standing records were broken using performance-enhancing drugs. Some of Major League Baseball's longest standing and highly touted records were broken by baseball's greats broken during the performance-enhancing drug era. One of the biggest performance-enhancing drug users, and incredibly so, is Jose Canseco. Jose Canseco was one of the first people ever to have 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a single season, which he done in 1988. And he also, in his book Juice, attributed this to steroids and said that if he hadn't done it, he would have done great, but he would have never achieved that record. Jose Canseco is one of the godfathers of steroids and performance-enhancing drugs, because anybody that needed any questions answered and wanted to know how to do it, he was more than readily there to help for. One of the people that he also helped with performance-enhancing drugs was Mark McGwire. Mark McGwire broke an amazing record that was around for 50 years. He hit 70 home runs in 1998, which surpassed the 1961 record of 61 home runs. Then, following that, in 2001, Barry Bonds broke Mark McGwire's single-season home run record with 73, which just was a ridiculous amount. Nobody in history, even up through now, has ever hit 70 home runs besides McGwire and Barry Bonds, both who have been indicted and shown to have used performance-enhancing drugs. Performance-enhancing drugs were prevalent in Major League Baseball for many years, but were only exposed after suspicions arose due to players' physique and due to their breaking of records in ridiculous fashion. After performance-enhancing drugs were exposed in Major League Baseball, Congress got involved and started an investigation into performance-enhancing drugs. According to Joe Panowski's January 2010 Sports Illustrated article, Mark McGwire admitted to using steroids from '93 throughout his entire career. Then a book came out called The Book of Shadows by Lance Williams. This book implicated several Major League Baseball players, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, in using performance-enhancing drugs. Once this book came out, Major League Baseball's commissioner, Bud Selig, contacted Congressman George Mitchell and asked him to do an investigation into the problem that they had in Major League Baseball. In 2006, George Mitchell started a report investigating performance-enhancing drugs. 21 months later, in December of 2007, he published his report. And shortly that day thereafter, ESPN published an article on their website that stated and listed each of the 89 players implicated as in using performance-enhancing drugs. And what I'm going to do is hand you out a handout that shows each one of these players that was implicated in that report. And although you may not know a lot about baseball, everyone here should notice a few names on this report. And it just shows you how prevalent that it was in Major League Baseball. In March of 2005, Major League Baseball players were asked to address Congress about performance-enhancing drugs. Mark McGwire was one of the people asked about performance-enhancing drugs, and he said that he could not comment because it might be detrimental to his family or his job. Congress accepted that and allowed him to go, and he denied it for years until he finally admitted it in 2009. Congress also asked to speak with Barry Bonds. When Barry Bonds spoke to Congress, he denied all use of performance-enhancing drugs and stated he never used the drugs. Well, following that report, they found evidence that Barry Bonds did use performance-enhancing drugs, and in 2009, he was indicted by Congress for lying to a grand jury. America's national pastime has been loved for over a century, but Major League Baseball lost face after record-setting statistics triggered an investigation into performance-enhancing drugs by Congress. Major League Baseball was found to be prevalent with performance-enhancing drugs, and many of the game's greatest stars were put under a microscope and held accountable, especially the athletes who broke these long-standing records in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball has been cherished by Americans for many years, but America's love was put to the test when Major League Baseball's greatest records were broken with contributions from performance-enhancing drugs. Hopefully, Major League Baseball can clean up the performance-enhancing drugs issue, and once again, Americans and mothers and brothers from around the world can once again be happy that their child idolizes a Major League Baseball player. Thank you.